So excited. Are you guys? Oh, let's do the thing. Let's do the thing. What's up, Salt Lake City? I said, what's up, Salt Lake City? That was
the most enthusiastic crowd I've ever had.
We already love you all.
Yeah, I love it.
So, welcome to Salt Lake, both of you. I hope you're as happy to be here and as happy to be here as we are to have you here. What is your favorite thing so far? I don't know if you've been here before, but so far, what do you think of our city, our beautiful attendees and fans and friends?
Well, first and foremost, good coffee, which to me is essential. I found within walking distance of our hotel, there's like 4 different shops, so I'm going to make that my life's work to check them all out.
You sent me a picture of the little, was it the
There's
cross?
one, yeah, there's a place that has a whole Zelda-themed list of coffee drinks right now, like all the different games, so we're going to totally do that tomorrow. I love this city. I had never been properly here before. I've been to Utah, but not Salt Lake City, and I already have kind of fallen in love with it. I'm one of those like very easy, if I can walk around and just take in the day and nature and it's chill, I'm super happy. And I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I love rain and overcast, and I heard it's gonna be kind of rainy this weekend, so instantly happy. And
Rain makes me cozy, I like it.
so cozy.
Being one of the warm bowl is super something.
I could have some soup. But it is genuinely also, I mean, we've literally been on the floor a couple of hours, and it's been such a privilege to get to talk to so many of you already. You look freaking awesome right there. The cosplays are stellar. And it is such a gift to be here with you guys.
I haven't seen much of this city yet, to be honest.
You gotta go get coffee tomorrow.
So far, my favorite thing is your team sausage sugar. I'm not sure what that means, but it's great.
If you're familiar with the Ink Master show, the tattoo show, Sausage is one of the artists. He's actually here tattooing. So if you guys want to go get a tattoo, please tattoo.
That's a dangerous thing.
That's incredible. Every time there's a tattoo here, we'll just see how they do.
I literally got this chainsaw man a couple of weeks ago. Oh my god, everyone turn around really quickly. Hold on, you guys get the box. Gogeta! 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 Amazing.
Wow. How are you gonna sit? I want to see that.
Does it all look?
I'm impressed. Can you see?
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, they're gonna be visiting me later, obviously.
That's so cool.
So, let's talk a little bit about voice acting. In your life experience, what has been the most helpful to you in becoming a voice actor?
Okay. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's life is different. Upbringing, nurture versus nature. Aside from that, I personally did a lot of theater and singing growing up. So I was in musicals, theater, show choir, regular choir, honors choir, anything that had to do with my throat and being in front of people. And it wasn't until after college that I realized that voice acting was another form of entertainment that I hadn't done. So I started dabbling at home. And then I realized that Funimation at the time was like 40 minutes away from me. And so I researched for several days to try to find an email to be put onto the open auditions list. And after like 5 months or so, no, it wasn't 5 months, it was 8 months. 8 months after the 5 days of grief.
Confirmation that they even because a lot of times when you send stuff out, especially in the beginning, it's so common to just not even get a response. Like, we got your stuff. It's like just quiet.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
like, oh, it's really.
it's like I didn't even get a shot, so I'm crying in my bed. It's like they didn't even give me a shot.
Yeah, taking that from there.
So what year was that? What was your first?
For Funimation, I think that was probably 2014. So it's a good minute ago. But yeah, my biggest advice would be to do acting and maybe get a vocal coach. Even if you can't sing, you can at least be very good and proficient at range and holding your notes.
Yeah, I mean, acting classes is obviously the first and foremost important thing, because now more than ever, casting directors, producers, anybody working in mass media, exactly! Totally gets me. There is a certain level of just the industry, yes, demanding professionalism in the sense of not just, are you excited about this, but are you someone that we can trust to be a professional and help, carry this thing through all the steps that it needs to? I personally though think that something equally as important, if not even more important than the actual training, is the layers of, one, you need to have a lot of self-love, which I know is difficult for all of us just existing. But this profession, any profession in entertainment, especially pursuing one as an actor, it's kind of insane. It just is. I was a musician for years, which is also insane. And when my band broke up and I decided I was going to actually pursue acting, it was even crazier. And there's, by all percentages, I should not be here, considering the amount of just luck and good fortune that comes with anything. But I wholeheartedly believe that in order to be able to not just give genuinely strong performances, and also protect your own mental and emotional health through this journey of a career, it is so important to just be confident in yourself and know who you are, and know that you're not there to be compared to somebody else. It doesn't matter what you're sending out an audition for, this and that, or whatever, how you are putting yourself out into the world as a creative person. Your voice, and I don't mean your voice, I mean your soul, your heart, your energy, the way that you interpret things. That is what's going to make you the individual that people want to connect with and work with and help put you out further into this world, because it doesn't matter what any of us sound like. We can all, one way or another, someone's going to get these jobs and be the right fit, but when you get into these sessions, especially when you're new, you're working with total strangers all the time, different directors and engineers and all these people, and it's not just focusing on the technicality of the job, it's also when you just get into these rooms, are you just comfortable with going to vulnerable places? And so much of that is really important to just know that you're stepping into, it is the greatest job in the world. It is so much fun, constantly laughing and just having a blast. But it absolutely demands a lot of this other stuff from you, and I think a lot of people are not as aware of what they need to equip themselves with emotionally when they go into these scenarios, because it is a rough business, and I know so many of close friends who are peers of ours who are working, who are doing really cool stuff that I get text message and phone calls from people who are really struggling, because it is just one of those weird industries where people naturally just compare themselves, or just, it's just a human thing to do. So yes, acting classes and all of that, but love yourself and bring yourself to whatever you're reading for and all of that.
I want to add one more thing on top of that. Oh, that's it. No, he does his research back. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
He's not so eloquent in his speech.
Decent amount of coffee.
He's also a writer. That's why he's so insane. You're making a comic too, right?
Yeah, well, you are too.
Well, I don't know how to write, but
Well, I don't know how to draw. Yeah.
I was probably going to say something. What was it? Oh, yeah. When it comes to a job like this, you want to make sure that you're in a really good headspace and not dwelling on not making things, because you're in this because you just want to have fun, you want to act, and you want to be involved, right? So if you're the kind of person who might get burned out by that quickly and lose your light just by the many no's, it might be something you might want to step away from for a minute and go do something else and come back to it or something. But I wouldn't beat yourself up and be like, it's not for me, just because you're not making it. And yeah, don't compare yourself, just have fun.
Yeah.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. roles, whether it's mentally, physically, like protecting your voice, anything like that?
It definitely changes based on circumstance more than anything, because most of the time, especially with dubbing, you have either zero clue what you're working on until you're working on it, or you are so quickly cast and then expected to record that like a lot of the ability to do research is just left to you, and is purely like, do you have the time to do it before your first session of the thing, like, you know.
I literally came into a session one time, and they're like, okay, cool, so you're gonna be doing a Norwegian accent. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
They're like, did nobody tell you? I was like, no.
Yeah, like sometimes with even with games and stuff, like you'll read for a thing that has a fake title, a fake character name, and then you walk in and you're like, what? And you're like, so sometimes you just can't prepare. And then some cases, like with Chainsaw, I happened to have found the manga back in 2020 when we were all going completely insane, locked in our homes, and I read all 11 available volumes and just fell in love with it, and knew that I would never actually get the chance to read for it, which is so crazy. But I was so deeply involved in it that I wanted to help tell this story, and it's crazy that I get to be a part of it. So we'll just wipe that part out, because it doesn't even make sense to me. But getting to work on it and getting to bring all of the things that for almost 2 years I had known about Denji, put together in my own head and heart about who he is and where he comes from. I had a lot of time to emotionally pack myself into that. But a lot of the time, it is just like, here's where you are, here's the emotional space, and that's also why training, what Sarah was talking about with acting classes, that's where it really comes in handy, because the technicality of, one, your cold reading skills, because you're like, here's the script, here's the first time you're seeing these words, now within 40 seconds, interpret what it all means, find the underlying, things that you need to say there, find, all of this emotion, put your own spin on the character, do, like, here's 10 things to do in this immediate thing, now go. So, that can be intimidating or, freaky, or you may not be super confident. So a lot of that is where having the training gives you the ability to walk into those scenarios and lock in and figure it out quickly. Because when you do theater classes, you get to you read a play and you workshop it with a partner and you do it for weeks, and you'll put it up and you'll get to get the intention behind the words. Because sometimes, you'll get a line of dialogue, let's say, it's something simple, it's like, I love you. But you know that the character saying that does not love the other person. And it is one of those things where you need to convey to the audience one thing, to the character another thing, so all these different layers of it, and how do you do that, and what's your personal way of doing that, and how do you do it like that? So it's a crazy kind of whirlwind, but I forgot where I started on this. Yeah.
Having a lovely time listening to you.
How do you prepare, mentally, physically, voice, anything for specific roles?
Yeah, what he said.
I just think there are things that are important to know about yourself, like your physical limitations of, especially with roles that have a lot of screaming or things like that. It's not just something where you're just like, cool, it's really easy to permanently damage yourself doing things, just being enthusiastic. So a lot of it is just knowing what you're comfortable with doing, how far you can push yourself. It doesn't mean you can't excel at these skills and grow at them, but off the bat, understand your strengths and your weaknesses and know how to kind of work with all of that.
Perfect. So I know you already went into it a little bit with the connection with Denji.
Yeah.
So have you found any other characteristics that you, as this is a Chainsaw Man, highlight panel, is there a particular characteristic you feel is the same with the character you portray on the show? Any different things that you're like, oh, I'm just like that, or I've done that, or I've thought like that before?
So, when I found this manga, I was living in a garage studio apartment that was probably the size of Denji's shack. And I was working as an actor, doing my thing, but living in Los Angeles, just lucky to get gigs, piece by piece. I was living what I call a very feral survival kind of mode life. And that was part of what made Chainsaw Man such an emotional impact for me. And yeah, it really, this is not hyperbole when I say that it saved my life multiple times over. Because I think I was genuinely, I live alone, and I did during, you know, the very lonely time that we all went through. And I just got to a point where I was really kind of mentally struggling with there was just so much chaos in the world, and I couldn't find an access point to just have an outlet. And I love film, I love TV, I love reading, and it became harder to even do those things because I just couldn't just sit and like take something in. And so when I found Chainsaw Man, I thought, wow, this covers are crazy, what could this possibly be about? And from the first moment that I opened that page, it changed my life. I completely got lost in the book. It took away all of the noise of the world going on. And the thing that you're asking me that it reminded me is, Denji is so resilient. Denji is so full of optimism, even when the world is completely, and has always been against him. He still will look for the next day and look for the good in people and in things and in whatever that is. And the idea that he can look at the simplest of things that we all take for granted as a luxury, it's such a beautiful reminder to just be grateful for anything that we have as a creature comfort. And so much of that just kind of reminded me and reinforced those feelings in me and empowered me to just be okay through all of this and power through. And I was like, you know, screw it, Denji can do it, we can all do this. And it's just been that way. So I then getting to play him, it really became a thing that was like incredibly deep, where I realized I could help be a part of telling this story and showing it hopefully to a wider audience of people who feel like that and maybe feel alone and feel the need to connect. So yeah, I feel really deeply connected to him. As you can tell, I'm almost crying talking about him. Because he genuinely, this story means so much to me, and you guys mean so much to me. Like, getting to connect with so many people over the last year, it's been so clear to me that like the way that I interpret this story and the way that it's impacted me is the way that you guys feel it too. So it's really beautiful to share. Also, there's an adorable puppy on the floor over here that I want to pet so bad.
Boy, that's a husker, isn't it? Baby. Yeah, oh yeah, speed stretch. As for me...
You don't bathe, right? So that's like the thing you should have done.
Yeah, actually I try not to bathe as infrequently as possible. At least my hair. That's for another time.
Sarah's more put together than like all of us combined. She's always the one who shows up the most stylish. Yeah.
Normally late too, but recently something's weird is going on. I like Power, have loved cats all my life. Whether it was my family cat, my roommate's cat. I've always been obsessed with them. Like even if I'm doodling, suddenly there's a cat immediately. And yeah, like Power, I had about 2 years in my life where I was homeless. So it was a very feral life of mine. And while I was homeless for that time, I found out that I'm really good at lying. And so I just kind of kept doing that to people. But yeah, so I really connect with the cat thing, not the homeless thing, just so we're clear. But I do connect with running around feral and naked, at least in my own home. That's my space, I'm allowed. And I guess like one of my favorite things about her is like I don't know what she's going to say next. And
I have to say, like, as someone who is, I can say this since I'm not Sarah, she's so drastically different than, you know, the core things of Power that are, you know, so insane. But at the same time, you ask anybody in our industry when these auditions went out, and everybody was like, it's gotta be Sarah. Because she has this energy that is just so extraordinary, as you guys have seen in the show. Like, she has this gremlin energy that we just absolutely adore, and it is just, it's truly powerful.
I do have a lot of energy at least.
You do.
That's it. We're in sync.
She makes us laugh all the time.
I love that term, gremlin energy. I'm writing that down. So I absolutely love both those answers. Now I'm going to keep it with one final fun question, then I'm going to open it to the crowds. There are 2 mics right there if you guys want to start lining up. One thing, we're not going to talk about spoilers, so please refrain from asking spoiler questions. But start lining up. We'll get to as many as we can before the time runs out. But my last quirky fun question. When you travel, what is your must-have essential item that you take everywhere, maybe one that you brought on this trip?
Don't I say? Very telling. I actually always bring an instant coffee with me because I don't know what kind of coffee shops I'm going to find. And a lot of the time when we have the green room here, it's a very classic Folgers kind of thing. And coffee is the one thing that I'm very bougie about. So I find that these days, a lot of mom and pop coffee shops, in most places will sell these instants with a couple of packets. So I'll travel with those, and that's currently what I'm doing.
I usually bring a Switch and a book.
I was Switch for a while, and then I felt like I wasn't being social. I feel like the second I would get back to downtown, I'd be like, well, I'm just going to play games, and that's it. I'm not going to see anybody.
I plan on having at least one unsocial day.
What game are you playing right now?
That's just Breath of the Wild still.
Still? Oh yeah, she's way behind.
I'm a completionist. I want to do all the quests, and I fear the ending happening so quickly. Even though I want to play the next game. I don't know where you place that mentally, but or what trauma has led me to this. But
I too have not finished it, so you're not alone. I'm I need to complete it.
it's like putting a book off for a long time too, because you don't want to get to the end, because you're afraid of having to pick up another book after that too.
Fair.
It's like, no, I like this story. I want it to keep going.
I agree. All right, let's start on this side.
Oh, there we go. You can
Hello?
manhandle it if you need to.
Yeah.
All right, can you hear me?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, get up in there.
All right, so there's a lot of fun moments in the show. I'm wondering if you guys have any fun moments from behind the scenes with especially you two, all the other actors that you can share with us.
Oh man. I think that the best thing about recording this show is we're really, really lucky to have an incredible full cast of people who are so talented and care so deeply, but our extraordinary ADR writer, Jessica, and Mike, our director, they, just have given us absolute gold. And Mike gives us such freedom to really, put ourselves into it first before he even, tries to tweak anything. He really trusts his actors. I know for me, the scene in episode 2 with, the alleyway, the Nuts or Nothing scene, me and Ray, because we recorded the first episode almost a month before we started the rest of the show because we had to bring the first episode to Comic-Con. So we didn't even get to see episode 2 for a minute, and I remember walking with Reagan in the halls of Comic-Con being talking about that scene, being oh, I wonder how they're gonna do it because it's gonna be so, and not realizing that they were really gonna play it out in the show in such a beautiful way. So that's just pure joy. We're laughing constantly. One of my favorite things is how often in the middle of our sessions, because we tend to wrap pretty quickly on most of the days, so there's always a little bit extra time, and usually Mike would be oh, you gotta hear this thing Sarah did, and then he'd play me some crazy line from Sarah, and I'd get to cackle, and yeah. We did do this one thing, because it's the only outtake we ever got to do. It's never ever heard anywhere. But and I don't even think you've ever seen the show, so you didn't even have realization of what I was asking for you to do. But we had you'll know. We did this scene. It was episode 11 or something, and it's when you burst through the elevator. You're I'm power, and I've always we've always joked that they have a Beavis and Butthead energy. So I was Mike, when she comes in to record the scene, because I had recorded that scene first, and I was can you just have her do I am Cornelia? So she did, and then like later he played it for me. So it was beautiful.
That's great, I remember it all.
We got a couple of things like that. We had Reagan also, we did the thing where I'm singing in the bathtub, and Reagan had recorded before me, and while it wasn't what they kept in the show intentionally, he did a shut up, God! And while I was recording, I did not know, and Mike didn't tell me, so it was great. What about you? Was that any craziness for you?
That was pretty much all of that, and plus getting to see what the other actors did. Like, see the nuts or nothing scene after y'all did it. Mike's like, hey, you want to see the nuts scene? Yeah. He starts playing it. I was literally on my hands and knees, like, dry heaving, laughing, not, like, breathing. Like, it was so, like, the exasperated sound that comes out of Reagan.
Oh,
It's
so
like, nothing else! And I was like,
Thank you.
oh, that was so fun.
Hello.
Oh, there's two students.
Well, here we go. What was your favorite line to record for each of you?
Aww. She has so many fingers. I'll just rotate. Let's see. Today it is Speak Harlot. You and Dingy coffee later last night, or you're dying.
I also have to constantly change my mind because it is just, there's far too many good ones. But I will say the one that I did not see coming when I walked into the session and was like, this is Shakespeare, was episode 12 with You Put the Dick in Predictable. Especially because if you think about it, it's so galaxy-brained of our writer, because for Denji, he's like sick bird, but it is not the same kind of spelling, which is so Denji. Like, so it was so perfect that I loved it so much. I was like, this is so beyond genius, and I can't believe I get to say this. So that for sure.
That was amazing.
So my question's kind of specific to one of you, so I'm gonna kind of do it to both of you.
Oh.
So when you were playing Denji, did you ever think or look when he first eats the toast that you wanted to make it yourself and eat it? And then my other one, since it's specific to him, was there a food that you wanted to try that looked really good?
In the show?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the noodles that they were having.
I feel like Aki's cooking would be really good. I feel like he definitely knows what's up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As far as me making super toast, I have yet to make it, but I have definitely lived most of my life off many forms of toasted jam. So, like, again, that was one of those things where I was like, I see you. I've actually been talking about it with someone about possibly doing at a convention, like a morning like breakfast thing where we all make super toast together. That would be fun.
Yeah.
And everyone else has to get.
Yo.
Hi. I was wondering, what is your favorite part of your characters? Like for Denji, what was your favorite part about him, his characteristic, how crazy he can be, and for Power, the cat. Just like, she's so cute. I have to know.
I think for me, it is his resilience, and it's his optimism, and it's his, in a way, really a lot like a puppy. There's an unconditional love where I think, you know, you have to give him a reason to really not want to, you know, hang with you. But I think Denji's first instinct is like, he tries to see the good in people, and I really like that.
Mine is that
Fiddling with this thing all day. How much she believes in herself, whether she's right or wrong, even though that doesn't really pertain to her, because she's always right. Like, it's insane.
Also, could you possibly do the little dance that they do in the intro? Where they're like doing their little jumping thing in the intro? Could you
I'm down for
try?
it. Dance real quick?
Yeah, I'll do it, and I'll bring my kids to space. I'm gonna do like this.
Just as a heads up, we're going to leave it at these questions so we can get through all of your questions. Your turn.
Hi. Incredible. So Chainsaw Man fell in love with for so many reasons, but one of them was the incredible localization. Like you went from my head like a dipshit. Incredible. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about the localization process. Like, were you able to kind of ad-lib some lines? Or...
Most of it, honestly, was just that well scripted. Most of it is just, it's a testament of great writing. I mean, one, great storytelling first and foremost before it even gets adapted. It's just extraordinarily well made. But that's just the testament of what good writing does, is it feels improvisational and off the cuff. I think the only thing we improvised was the Yeats. That's it. Like, that's the only thing that I actually was like, what if I do this? And Mike was like, that's hysterical. And then we were like, no one's gonna notice that. And somehow that exploded. But no, like, genuinely, I don't think we ad-libbed, like, any of the, like, major dialogue. It's just written that well. It's crazy, yeah.
Like there's been like the scene with the Eternity Battle and Power's getting a real rise out of Kobani in her struggles in life. And she just starts busting out laughing and like kicks her head back and all of that. We almost didn't do the little part where she's like, or what was his name? The guy that she's, he's like, no, he tells her, stop laughing, it's not funny. And then and she says, yes, it is. But we almost didn't say the it is part. We almost just like kept on like laughing, like wait, she kicked her head back in a way, you can see her mouth flap. Can I please just put the it is there and start laughing? And then yeah. So like play with a little bit like that in that regard, but yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for your question. Hi.
Hi, yes. So, just a question for each of you. If there was any role, past, present, or potentially future, as a dub voice actor, who would you like to play?
Only because I've never really had another answer, I'm going to go with the one that is ultimately sacrilegious. Link.
I want to be a Sarach then. Hey man, you found me. I just say like that. There's this game, I think it's called like, there's a Jumpstart Kids, and there's this hamster that you click on and he appears behind, or at least says that every time. And it will always live in my mind.
What about you, character? You live to Colt Levy.
I would love to do
I mean, you would be a great.
Yeah. Aside from that, probably Timmy from Undertale, if they ever did anything with that. I love her.
Clearly, we're both game nerds.
Yeah. And then I wanted to get Reagan to do that one Timmy in the village that has the low voice.
Boy.
He did it once, it was so good.
Thank you for your question. Thank you.
Perfection.
So, other than your character that you play already, what is your favorite character, and would you have liked to play or voice that character?
Or one that I've gotten to play?
No, like in Chainsaw Man, other than Denji or Power, what is your other favorite character, and would you have liked to voice that?
There was a couple of, at this point it's crazy to say almost 2 years ago. If any of you guys have seen the most recent My Hero Academia film, there's a character named Rhodey that I got to play that is very much also really, really special to me. And in a weird way, has some connections to Denji. I mean, he's kind of a street kid, he kind of has this resilience, very different personality and energy, but another thing that I just kind of resonated with and didn't expect to.
For me, Toru from Dragon Maid, and they're also very similar too. They're both my chaos queens. One levels out a lot more though.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, hi.
Hi. I haven't actually seen the show or the manga. I've just heard things and seen clips. Would you recommend reading the manga first or watching the show first?
I personally think that it's such a beautiful adaptation. It's really faithful in a pretty extraordinary way. The thing is, if you start reading, you're going to annihilate the entire thing in like a couple of days, because it just depends. Like, once you start, it's like the Pringles of manga. Like, you just can't stop. I would say it's more, I mean, as someone who like literally read the whole thing multiple times over, then got to do the thing, and will still show it to people, and like, I still get emotionally affected by it. So, personally, I would say read it because it's a great ride, and you'll really appreciate all of the nuances that the show brings out. But if you're the kind of person who wants that to be the way that it impacts you and surprises you and all of that first, then I would say watch the show, and then if you watch those 12 episodes and go like, I need more, then go back and start at the top of the manga and just breeze through.
Yeah, I think you'll be, no matter what you choose to do, it's going to be a good time. Like, but you know, me personally, like, since I read it, and then I watched the show after, I was like, oh, I like that they added this thing in it, you know, so you can go back and like, wait, they didn't do that in the manga. That's nice. Gosh, I remember too, like, I don't really read that often. I've been pushing myself lately. So when I read the books, I was actually flying through the manga. And I remember there being a few that I got so angry afterwards that I refused to pick up the next book. I'm like, I hate this manga, I hate it. And then literally the next day I picked up the next one, I'm like, fine. I'm like, oh, it's so good. And I'm like, I hate it again.
It takes you on such a journey, it's crazy.
It's like, well, stop playing with my heart.
Thank you.
All right, our last question.
Okay, so this is for you guys personally. You gotta answer honestly, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm sweating.
Okay. So what would you rather eat? A baby deer or a matter baby?
Wait, what was the second one?
A matter baby.
A what?
Matter baby.
Maggery?
Matter baby.
What's a matter, baby?
Nothing much, baby. What's the matter with you?
Oh, man.
Now whisper in his ear. I know who you are.
Also, 2 more things, sorry.
No, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
For a friend, can you say like 2 super cool phrases that you guys both like in your both character voices?
Sure.
I'm sorry, dissociated. What was that?
Say things in our character voices. Are there any children in here? Earmuffs. She's more like a bullshit devil!
Let's see. Which one?
I love that you got us with that. That's so freaking good.
I was gonna get you. I knew I would.
I should have seen it coming too, but like, I'm just so open to it. I just want to answer your question, you know?
That's how you get us when we're vulnerable.
I'll do her. The glory of the kill is mine! Thank you.
All weekend.